make one spark right off the screen. Embrace variance, say it with me now. Embrace variance, we don't do the same sound.
What's going on, Embrace Variance family? I'm going to Vegas today, and I'm not going with a group of buddies. I'm not going with a girl. I'm not going with my wife or my partner for that matter, or anything in between. I am going with the grannies, with Mama Variance and Mama Variance's friend. That's right. We are headed off to Las Vegas, Nevada. We are going to tear this fucking place up, baby. Me and the two slot players. I'm super excited, guys. It is a beautiful day, wonderful day to be alive. Praise God that I woke up today and I'm able to do the things that I'm able to do. I couldn't be more grateful for the opportunities that life has given me and the blessings that are given to me each day. I can't express my gratitude enough. I will be to Mama Variant soon, and we will be off to Nevada, Las Vegas, baby. Let's go.
Going to the Grand Canyon or any of that stuff?
Probably just stay in Vegas for the most part.
Yeah, we've been there already.
All right.
$17 for pistachios. Beef jerky's not crazily overpriced. But yeah, this is the airport, guys. Actually, the pretzels aren't too bad. $4, it's like gas station prices. Welcome back, family, and welcome to Embrace Variance, a plus EV decision. My name is Sabu, and welcome to my second day in Vegas. I can't pull the mic away from my mouth. I have to remember that. So, second day in Vegas. We landed yesterday. I don't know if I posted the update about how I didn't play on the first night. I was very, very jet lagged, and I ended up going over to Aria, and I got on the list, and I sat there for, I don't know, an hour or so. Couldn't get in a game. And if you guys don't know, I'm from the East Coast, very specifically New York. So New York to Vegas is a pretty big time difference. So I didn't even end up playing yesterday. I actually got in a game today. I played at the Wynn. I played 1-3, and I made $250 in about 4 hours. Nothing much exciting happening. I did not record my hands there because I did not bring my my recording equipment. I'm still jet lagged, guys. If you hear me saying and but and all this other stuff, cut me some slack. So the only interesting hand that really happened, and this is kind of where I made most of my money on this hand, and then a couple other losses and wins here and there, but this was the big one. So tight, pretty straightforward, regular, pretty passive. Maybe he was card dead. I don't know. I didn't play with him that long. Guy. He opens from under the gun to 12. Folds around to me. I am on the button with red kings. I 3-bet to 45. Folds back to him. And again, he's under the gun. He 4-bets me to $1.25. So it's 125 to go. We are playing about, I think we were like 430 effective, 425 effective to start the hand. And I have kings. So I don't know about you guys, but when I get 4-bet at 1-3, I'm never ecstatic to have anything besides aces, because this is just rarely a bluff, especially from somebody who I deem to be a reg. But I don't think I'm folding kings pre-flop. I kind of wanted to see how he would react after the flop. And you know, it's another, and with the price that I'm getting, almost 3.5 to 1 on my money. If he has aces, we'll find out after the flop, or we'll get stacked, you know, and it is what it is. We're just not playing deep enough to care at this point, right? So I make the call. I don't have a 5-betting range here. I'm in position. I can see what he does, and 5-bet would just be a 5-bet jam, and the only hand we're getting called by at that point is pocket aces. So I think the only thing we can do here is call. So I end up making the call. The flop comes like 7-5 deuce with a couple hearts. And he just open rips it, guys. He jams like 330, 300, something like that into 250. And I kind of think about it for a minute, and I'm thinking to myself, like, is this guy, if he had pocket aces, is he going to just open rip here? Why would he do that? Like, if he had aces and he's expecting me to have a hand like ace king, maybe queens, jacks, that type of hand, would you just open rip here? Why? On 7-3 deuce, it just didn't make sense. And so I thought about it for like, it really wasn't that long. He was not happy about it afterward, but fuck him. So yeah, I thought about it for maybe like, I don't know, 20 seconds or so. And I make the call, and the run out comes, and it's low. And I look at him, and he just puts his hands up. He just throws his hands in the air. And I flip over kings, and he makes like this disgusted look, like I was supposed to do something different. And he like stormed off the table right after that. But that was the one hand that ended up making us a little bit of money. All right, guys, so I am going to show you Sabu playing some live action no limit Texas Hold'em for the very first time on this channel. So in this hand, we are in the $6 straddle. This table has been very passive, very typical of low stakes players. There's a lot of calling, there's not a lot of aggression. So again, we're in the $6 straddle. We look down at ace-10 offsuit. There is a low jack call for the 6, there is a high jack call for the 6, and there is a small blind call for the 6. I decide to bump it up to 40 here, and my stand falls over. And the reason I make it 40 is because A, we're out of position. We want to try to disincentivize other players from coming in position to us. And B, I just want to get it heads up. No matter who it's against, my hand, rather than my range, actually performs better in a heads-up situation. So we get just that. Both the low jack and the high jack fold, and the small blind actually ends up calling. So the flop is going to come out, and the flop is going to be the 10 of clubs, jack of clubs, deuce of clubs. So the small blind is going to check. So if you guys watch my strategy video, my MO is going to be to check back a lot on monotone boards. However, we have the nut flush draw and middle pair on this board, and I don't think that the small blind is going to fold if we start betting with our small sizes here, right? We want to use small sizes on monotone boards when we have the ace of whatever suits on the board, and also when we don't have that card. We just happen to have it in this instance. So the small blind makes the call, and now the turn is the king of hearts. So after the small blind calls the $20 on the flop, let's start to break down what villain's range is going to be here. So on monotone boards, a lot of the times, if they're going to continue, they're going to have some sort of club in their hand. Doesn't necessarily have to be the king, especially when the bet is this small. They could continue with top pair. They could continue with a straight draw. There's a ton of stuff that they're continuing with when we make our bet that small, which is why we want to size down in these spots. However, when the turn brings in another Broadway card, we really want to start to think, okay, what is their range now? Well, now they can have some two pair. They could have some king 10, some king jack, some jack 10, and those hands are not folding on the turn because once recreational players turn two pair, they think, oh, well, at least I have outs to beat the flush if he flopped the flush. They are always afraid of the biggest hand on the board. So what we want to do here is to size up to get that stuff to call one more time and then absolutely blast the river to get them to fold everything. So what I'm trying to accomplish here is a couple different things. One, I'm trying to get value from those two pair hands in case I hit another club on the river, because those two pair hands are not going to pay me on the river. That's number one. Number two, if those two pair hands start to call and the river bricks out, then I have enough stack depth behind in order to jam and get him to fold absolutely everything, including two pair. So that's my train of thought going to the river here. So just like we discussed, I decide to bet 75 and he absolutely snap folds. So I'm assuming he had like a one pair hand, maybe a jack or something or another of that sort where we weren't getting any more value either way. So first hand goes to Sabu. All right, guys, so for this next one, It actually caught me by surprise, but it shouldn't have, given that we are playing 1-3 low-stakes poker, and you'll see exactly what I mean as we continue forward here. So the setup for this one is it folds around to the hijack. The hijack ends up limping. It gets over to us. We decide to raise to 15, which I don't necessarily like. I think we should be going a little bit bigger, just because there was a limp, and 15 was our normal open size, so we should be going to at least 20. After we raise to 15, the button calls, the big blind calls, and the limper calls. So we're going to go 4 ways to a flop. And the flop comes out, and it's the king of diamonds, 4 of clubs, 7 of hearts. So it's going to check around to us, and we're doing a ton of checking here. So if we had some king X on this board, like if we had very specifically like ace king or king queen, in low stakes I'd probably start doing some betting. There is only one person in position to us. However, our hands, very specifically our hand, ace queen of diamonds, does not want to get check raised on this board. We have a ton of backdoor equity here. Our really big hands on this board, like pocket sevens or pocket kings, want to go for a check raise to pile in the money. And given that it is super multi-way with uncapped ranges, we want to check. And the button pretty quickly checks it back. So when the button checks it back, he's really incentivized to start betting his really good hands here, even multi-way. If he has king X, he wants to bet it for value and protection. So when he doesn't bet, we can pretty much deduce that his range isn't really, really strong here, because I believe that he would start betting here if he had a really strong hand. So when it checks through, although it's always in the back of our mind that low stakes players love to trap, even multi-way, although that will bring down the percentage that they will trap, the more players that are involved in the hand. So I'm leaning more toward that the button's range is actually pretty capped at this point. However, the players that are out of position to us are still very much uncapped, as they are going to be naturally checking to the raiser, which is going to be myself in this hand. So we have to keep that in mind going to the turn. And the turn is going to roll off the deuce of diamonds. So this is a really interesting one, because what's going to happen is the player first to act is actually going to dunk for a small size here. He leads for $15. So there's a couple different things going through my mind here. Low stakes players will start to do this with their really strong hands, right? They're going to naturally check to the aggressor, and then they're going to start betting their strong hands. Although I think they start to size up a little bit with hands like king 7, pocket 7s, pocket 4s. I think those hands start to get really greedy here, and they really start to panic because they missed out on a street of value. So when he uses this small size, to me this screams something like, I'm trying to see where I'm at with a middling pair, with pocket 10s, with pocket 9s, some hand like that that's trying to figure out where they're at. So I start to mull over my options when it folds to me, and I'm thinking if I call, I'm probably going to bring the button along behind me, and if I miss on the river, I'm probably going to have to end up folding. If folding is just completely out of the question at this point, we have an over, we have the nut flush draw, so that leaves me with raise to be the best decision I think I could have made in this hand. And I only raised to $50 here, so we go a little bit above 3x, and I'm going to explain to you why. So I go 3x here with the intention of getting all of that middling stuff to call. Medium pairs, a pair of 7s that's trying to see where it's at. That was the read that I had, and from some other hands that I saw this player play earlier, this is what I deduced, was that he had something very middling. So I raised to 50 with the intention of having all of that stuff call. And then the idea was to absolutely blast the river on brick rivers, or to value bet, trying to get called by that middling stuff, or maybe possibly a king. Very possible he has a king at this point too. So we want to get called by that stuff, right? And the villain ends up thinking about it for a little while, and he ponders for a little bit, and he decides to stick in the call. So the river comes, and the river is the ace of spades. So this completely flips my thinking around, because at this point, we're going to be value betting. The only question is, how much, right? So now I'm starting to think that maybe he has a king, right? He did lead into 4 people, or 3 other people, after the flop check through. That is a huge sign of strength, although I have seen this player do some weird stuff with some middling stuff, so there was a lot of conflicting thoughts going through my head. So I decided on a size of $75. I figured that was going to get called by the King X. I might even get called by some of that middling stuff, the pocket nines, pocket tens, although that was kind of ambitious. I'm mostly targeting King X at this point. So I bet 75, and he snap calls. And I just flip my hand over because I just figure, you know, ace queen is really good here. And he turns over pocket fours. So he flopped a set. He checked to the razor on the flop, expecting somebody to bet. I'm assuming going for a check raise. Then he donks the turn for a really small size into 3 other people. Again, that is absolute strength a lot of the times. However, I actually decided to deviate from one of my low stakes commandments, and that is players donking multi-way usually equals strength, right? So because I saw this player in multiple instances do this with middling hands, I deviated from my normal thinking of this player has a stronger range than what he is leading on, because he was playing very trappy, which again is a very common thing in low stakes. But when he flips over pocket fours, I was very taken back. He never raised. He didn't even think about raising the river. He just snap called. So let me know what you guys think about that one.
Somebody always help that girl. But shoes or no shoes, I'm still brave enough to conquer her. Small and meek. We've come to ask.
Alright guys, so this is going to be the last hand that I show you, because if I showed any more, this would be an hour-long video. I like to do a pretty deep dive of my thought process and exactly what I'm thinking during these hands, so you guys can get a real feel for my game, even with just a few hands that I have listed. Obviously, these weren't all the hands that I played in Vegas, but these were some of the more interesting ones that I played. I didn't run too good in Vegas, to be honest with you guys, and I really didn't win a lot of my sessions. I was on a downswing, actually, before I went to Vegas, and I kind of broke even, but anyway, let's get into this hand. So in this hand, we have Queen of Hearts, Jack of Hearts in the hijack. There is a low jack open to 12, and we decide to 3-bet to 40 to isolate the opener. And it's going to fold all the way back to the low jack, and he's going to end up making the call. So now, when he makes the call here, it's hard to put him on a range of hands yet, right? Like, he can have just about everything except for the tippy-top left-hand part of the hand chart there. Like, I think he would have 4-bet with aces. I think he would have 4-bet with kings. This guy was a pretty solid player. I saw him float decently wide at times. I saw him battle. He would get in there and mix it up pretty good. So I think if he had that upper left-hand part of the chart, I think we're getting 4-bet here. But I think he could still flat with some ace-king. I think he could still flat with some ace-queen and some hands that really dominate us. So I did want to tread somewhat lightly in this hand against a pretty good studied player. So anyway, so the flop comes out, the queen of diamonds, 10 of hearts, 8 of clubs. So this is a pretty connected board. We got a decent amount going on for us on this board. This is one of the boards where I'm going to be playing a big better check strategy. We have top pair, we have the backdoor straight draw, we have the backdoor flush draw. So I think that this hand we can put into the bet big type of category to put some pressure on all of his gut shots, on all of his second pair, all of those hands that aren't thrilled putting in a 66% c-bet with a low equity hand. So when he puts in the call here, let's try to figure out his range here. So he flats our 3-bet pre-flop, and then he puts in the call to a pretty big c-bet on the flop. So what I'm starting to think here is he's got maybe a hand like King Jack, maybe like King Queen. He's got a hand that has pretty good equity. Otherwise, he's probably folding a decent amount of those hands on the flop, like a hand like King 10 or Ace 10, or a hand like Pocket Nines, or a hand that just doesn't have that much equity against top pair. So I would assume that some of those would start folding out. However, he was a decent enough player to where he may float some of those hands that may have some backdoor equity as well, like pair plus backdoor straight draw, pair plus backdoor flush draw. Although I think he folds some of those out depending on the suits and the combinations and what he thought about my range. So when he makes the call, we're definitely putting him on a stronger range and keeping that in mind as we go to the turn. So the turn comes out and it's the deuce of diamonds. So this is where I think I might have made a little bit of a mistake, and I might have got a little gun shy because he called the big c-bet on the flop. So he ends up checking it over to me. And in this spot, I start to think, well, I could be outkicked here with a hand like King Queen. Maybe he flats some Ace Queen type hands. But there are some other hands that may still continue to call a bet here, although I don't think checking is the worst thing in the world. I do think that betting is better, as we do start to fold out some more of those like straight draws that got sticky on the flop. So I don't necessarily hate check, but I don't love it either. I think we need to continue to fire here. As the deuce of diamonds does bring in a flush draw, maybe we start to get called by some of those hands, but I do end up checking it back here, mainly for pot control purposes, and mainly just because in the instances where we are outkicked by a hand like King Queen, we do manage to keep the pot a little bit smaller as we go to the river, although sometimes a no limit, the term pot control, quote unquote, isn't necessarily a thing because you can really bet whatever you want. But strategically speaking, we are using a pot control type of maneuver here. So the river comes, and the river is the ace of clubs. So what is his range at this point? Well, the ace of clubs brings in King 10, most of all that open-ended straight draw, the flush draw bricks, and I just think that after we check back the turn, if he were to check to us, I think it would just be a massive mistake to bet this card. Everything pretty much got there except for the turn flush draws, and I think it just gets a little bit too thin here. And we just have a decent amount of showdown value here with Queen Jack, and I think that that's just what we need to do. We need to try to get the showdown at this point, and that's exactly what we do. The low jack ends up checking it over, and we pretty quickly check it back, looking to get our pair of queens to showdown. He quickly turns over ace 10 of diamonds, and we muck our hand. So he had one of those hands that was a backdoor flush draw on the flop, turn flush draw on the turn. He had a pair of 10s to go along with it. He floated on the flop, even to our big c-bet, turned the flush draw. So even if we were to bet, a big size on the turn, which I don't think I'm doing that anyway. I think I would have ended up going smaller, not wanting to be results oriented, but the big bet or any type of bet is going to get called on the turn anyway with all of that equity that he ended up having. So, we did end up managing to keep the pot smaller, and we did end up losing to a better hand. So, nice hand. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me in my Vegas vlog. I hope that you guys really enjoyed my trip. I know I had a blast out there, and I intend on going back very, very soon. Me and my mother and her friend, we went out to a couple different places to eat. We really saw the city. There was a ton that I didn't put into the vlog just because it wasn't poker related, and this is a poker vlog, or at least a poker channel, right? Vegas is a crazy city. I mean, I ran into some crazy people. It was a really, really good time. I had a blast. Definitely a spot that I'll be heading back to in the future. I didn't run very well in Vegas, that's for sure. I did not make a profit at all throughout all my sessions in Vegas, but I just had a blast playing there. All of the history inside of Bellagio, all of the history inside of Aria and all these poker rooms that I have dreamed about playing for a long time, and I finally was able to get out to Vegas, and I was able to play in them, and I was stoked. I had an absolute blast. Thank you guys for joining me here on my channel. As always, I appreciate your support. Drop a like, leave a comment, let me know what you think about the hands. As I review the hands, it's funny, I'm actually reviewing my live play for the first time and going back. There's definitely some things that are worth reviewing and changing, and it's actually a really nice form of study to be able to record your hands at the table and then review them later. So I'm very appreciative for that, and I'm appreciative for all of you guys. So again, thank you so much for checking out my channel, and remember, embrace variance.
Yeah, new frame, new lane, watch me shift it clean. One take, one spark right off the screen. Embrace variance, say it with me now. Embrace variance, we don't do the same sound. Embrace variance. Embrace variance. Embrace variance. Yeah.